Weak people are controlled by anger. Average people suppress anger until it explodes destructively. Dangerous people weaponize anger strategically while remaining internally calm. Right now, while you're watching this, someone is using your emotional reactivity against you. They trigger your anger, watch you lose control, and exploit the chaos you create. They're not smarter than you. They understand something you've been ignoring. Anger is either weapon you control or weakness others exploit. There is no middle ground. Every time you react angrily without strategic purpose, you've handed control to whoever triggered you. Every time you suppress anger without processing it, you're building internal pressure that will explode at the worst possible moment. Every time you let rage hijack your decisions, you're proving to everyone watching that your emotions are exploitable handles anyone can grab to steer you. Today, you master ruthless emotional control that makes you untouchable. You become someone whose anger serves strategic purposes, never emotional impulses. Strategic anger management is about emotional sovereignty, not manipulation. Understanding how to control and deploy anger allows protection against emotional hijacking while maintaining authentic expression when strategically useful. This isn't toxic suppression that causes psychological damage. This isn't uncontrolled rage that destroys relationships and opportunities. This is deliberate mastery, where you choose when, how, and why to deploy anger, or to remain calm when others expect rage. Your emotions become tools, not weaknesses. I am Niccolo Machiavelli. 500 years ago, I documented rulers who mastered strategic emotional display. In The Prince, I observed that successful leaders understood when to show mercy and when to display calculated ruthlessness, including strategic rage that established boundaries without being controlled by emotion. The Stoic philosophers, Seneca's On Anger, Marcus Aurelius's Meditations Book 11, taught emotional sovereignty that modern psychology has forgotten. Emotions are not masters to obey, but tools to deploy. Seneca wrote, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." Marcus Aurelius taught, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." These weren't platitudes. They were combat strategies for emotional warfare. Modern emotional intelligence research confirms what Stoics knew. People who control emotional expression strategically while processing internally outperform both those who suppress emotions and those controlled by them. This video fuses Stoic emotional philosophy with Machiavellian strategic deployment and dark psychology understanding of how anger operates as social weapon. You're learning to be dangerously calm. Someone whose anger is deliberate tool, never automatic reaction. Now, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I control anger ruthlessly. Anger never controls me. 1. Manufactured anger as negotiation tactic. The first principle is manufactured anger. Deliberately displaying anger you don't genuinely feel to shift negotiation dynamics. You deploy tactical rage to signal boundaries or create urgency while remaining internally calm. This separates anger as performance from anger as emotion. Think about negotiations where someone displays anger strategically. They raise voice, show frustration, create pressure through emotional intensity. But watch their eyes, they're calculating. The anger is performance designed to make you concede rather than genuine emotional reaction. This manufactured display often works because most people assume anger is authentic and respond by backing down. Here's manufactured anger in practice. You're negotiating, and the other party is dragging process, hoping you'll accept poor terms to end discomfort. You display calibrated anger, firm tone, intense eye contact, statement like, "I'm not tolerating this delay anymore." Final offer, take it or negotiations end now. The anger creates urgency and boundary. But internally, you're calm, watching how they respond to recalibrate your next move. When you can't manufacture anger strategically, you're limited to authentic emotion only. This makes you predictable. People know your anger is real reaction to genuine triggers. When you can deploy manufactured anger, you control when anger appears regardless of internal state. This unpredictability makes you dangerous in negotiations because they can't tell if you're genuinely angry or strategically displaying anger. The key is maintaining internal calm while externally performing controlled anger. Your racing heartbeat, your measured breathing, your calculated word choice all indicate manufactured display rather than emotional hijacking. People often concede to displayed anger because confronting anger feels dangerous, even when the anger is strategic performance. Practice manufactured anger in low-stakes situations. Display controlled frustration to end circular conversations. Show calibrated annoyance to establish time boundaries. The more you practice separating external display from internal state, the more powerful this tool becomes. I want you to drop this affirmation. I manufacture anger strategically. I never lose control. 2. Emotional detachment during provocation. The second principle is emotional detachment during provocation, maintaining internal calm when others attempt to trigger your anger. You recognize provocation as manipulation attempt and refuse to provide the emotional reaction they're seeking. Your detachment defeats their strategy. Think about the last time someone deliberately tried to anger you. Insult, accusation, dismissive comment. Did you react? Most people do. The provocation triggers automatic anger response that the provocateur then exploits. Your angry reaction becomes their weapon. They point to your rage as evidence you're unstable, unprofessional, or wrong. Here's emotional detachment. Someone insults you in meeting attempting to provoke defensive anger. You recognize the provocation immediately. Internally, you note, this is manipulation attempt. Externally, you maintain complete calm, neutral expression, measured tone, continuing conversation as if insult didn't occur. Your detachment makes their provocation fail visibly. Others see the attempted manipulation and your unshakable calm. When you react to provocation with anger, you've given provocateur exactly what they wanted. Evidence of your emotional vulnerability and loss of control. When you maintain detachment, you've denied them their weapon while exposing their manipulation to everyone watching. Your calm becomes dominance display. The practice is recognizing provocation the instant it appears, creating mental space between stimulus and response. Seneca taught, the best remedy for anger is delay. That delay, even one breath, allows you to choose detached response rather than automatic reaction. In that space lives your power. Physical techniques reinforce detachment. Slow your breathing deliberately when provoked. Maintain loose posture rather than tension. Keep eye contact steady but not reactive. These physical controls support internal detachment while signaling to provocateur their attempt failed. I want you to drop this affirmation. Provocation fails on me. I remain detached and powerful. 3. Strategic rage display for ruthless boundaries. The third principle is strategic rage display, deploying intense, controlled anger specifically to establish non-negotiable boundaries. This is manufactured anger, amplified to maximum intensity for specific purpose, making boundary violation so costly that it never happens again. This isn't losing control. This is choosing to deploy overwhelming anger display that makes boundary absolutely clear. Someone has violated your boundary repeatedly despite warnings. Strategic rage makes violation cost so high they never test that boundary again. Here's strategic rage display. Someone has crossed professional boundary multiple times, interrupting, dismissing, undermining. Warnings haven't worked. You deploy strategic rage, sudden intensity, direct eye contact, voice raised deliberately, explicit statement. That ends now. Never again. Are we clear? The display is calculated to shock and establish absolute boundary. The key is that internally you're controlled. This isn't emotional explosion. It's strategic deployment of maximum intensity for specific purpose. After the display, you return immediately to calm, signaling the rage was tool deployed for purpose, not loss of control. This controlled return to calm is more frightening than the rage itself because it signals deliberate capacity. Most people either never display intense anger, boundaries constantly violated, or display it uncontrollably, losing authority through emotional chaos. Strategic rage display is third option. Controlled deployment of maximum intensity that establishes ruthless boundary without losing composure. The aftermath matters. After strategic rage display, you act completely normal, not apologizing, not referencing it unless necessary, treating it as closed matter. This normalization signals it was strategic boundary enforcement, not emotional breakdown. People learn your boundaries are absolute. I want you to drop this affirmation. My rage establishes boundaries ruthlessly, always controlled. 4. Calm center. During external storm. The fourth principle is maintaining calm center during external emotional storm. When environment around you is chaotic and angry, you remain internally still. This creates gravitational authority, where others look to your calm as anchor, while their emotions spiral. Think about chaotic situations, crisis, conflict, heated arguments. Most people either get swept into emotional chaos or withdraw completely. Neither response generates authority. Calm center during storm does both. You're fully present in chaos while maintaining internal stillness that others unconsciously gravitate toward. Here's calm center. Meeting devolves into heated argument. Multiple people are angry. Voices raised, chaos building. You maintain complete calm, neutral expression, measured breathing, speaking only when necessary in steady tone. As chaos continues, people start looking to you because you're only stable point. Your calm becomes authority that organizes chaos. When you join emotional chaos, you lose authority. You're another chaotic element. When you withdraw from chaos, you lose relevance. You're not engaged. When you maintain engaged calm center, you dominate situation because everyone else is losing control while you maintain it visibly. The practice is internal stillness while externally engaged. Marcus Aurelius taught, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." The storm happens externally. Your center remains still internally. This separation creates presence that commands without demanding. Physical anchors support calm center. Plant feet firmly, grounding yourself. Breathe from diaphragm slowly. Maintain open but relaxed posture. These physical controls reinforce internal calm while signaling stability to others in chaos. I want you to drop this affirmation. I am calm center in any storm, unshakable. 5. Reading anger in others as vulnerability map. The fifth principle is reading anger displays in others as vulnerability mapping, understanding that when someone shows anger, they've revealed exactly what controls them. Their anger is mapped to their psychological vulnerabilities that you can exploit or protect against. Think about people who display anger frequently. Each display reveals trigger, what threatens them, what they value, what they fear losing. This information is strategic intelligence about their psychological landscape. While they're displaying anger, you're mapping their vulnerabilities. Here's anger reading. Colleague displays anger when their expertise is questioned. You note, expertise validation is psychological need. Boss shows rage when deadlines slip. You note, control over timeline is core value. Competitor gets angry when you enter their market. You note, territorial threat is primary fear. Each anger display maps their emotional architecture. When you display anger unconsciously, you're revealing your vulnerabilities to anyone paying attention. When you read others' anger strategically, you're gathering intelligence about how to influence, negotiate with, or defend against them. Their emotional reactions are voluntary confession of psychological structure. The strategic application. Use anger mapping to know what threatens them. Avoid triggering unnecessarily, or what motivates them. Deploy strategically when needed. Someone who gets angry about disrespect values status. Use status reward, threat in negotiations. Someone who rages about fairness values equity. Frame proposals in fairness terms. Machiavelli understood that knowing what anger's enemies reveals how to defeat them. Modern application. Knowing what angers anyone reveals how to influence them strategically. Their anger is their weakness displayed publicly. I want you to drop this affirmation. I read anger in others. I map their vulnerabilities. 6. Righteous anger versus ego. Anger distinction, the sixth principle, is distinguishing righteous anger from ego anger. Understanding that righteous anger serves principles beyond yourself, while ego anger serves only wounded pride. Only righteous anger deserves strategic deployment. Ego anger is always weakness. Think about recent anger you felt. Was it because genuine principle was violated, righteous, or because your ego was threatened, ego anger? Most anger is ego anger. Someone disrespected you, questioned you, threatened your status. This anger serves no strategic purpose beyond protecting wounded pride. Here's the distinction. Righteous anger. Someone violated ethical boundary, harmed vulnerable person, broke fundamental principle that matters beyond your ego. This anger has legitimate foundation, and strategic deployment can serve justice or protection. Ego anger. Someone questioned your competence, didn't show deference, got recognition you wanted. This anger serves only ego, and deployment makes you look weak. When you deploy ego anger, you reveal psychological fragility. Your ego is so fragile that minor slights trigger rage. This is exploitable weakness. When you deploy righteous anger strategically for genuine principle, you reveal strength. You're controlled until core values are violated. Then response is measured but intense. The practice is interrogating anger before deployment. Is this about defending genuine principle or protecting my ego? If ego, refuse to deploy, maintain calm and address rationally. If righteous principle, Consider strategic deployment to establish boundary or protect value beyond yourself. Seneca warned that most anger is ego-driven and therefore shameful. Only anger in service of justice or protection of others deserves expression. Modern application. Deploy anger only when it serves purpose beyond ego protection. Everything else is weakness displayed publicly. I want you to drop this affirmation. I deploy righteous anger only. Ego anger I master. 7. Delayed anger response for maximum impact. The 7th principle is delayed anger response. Instead of reacting with immediate anger, deliberately delaying response to choose optimal timing and maximum impact. Seneca's delay is greatest remedy for anger becomes strategic weapon. Think about immediate anger reactions. They're predictable. They happen when trigger occurs, and they dissipate quickly. Delayed anger is unpredictable, happens when you choose, and carries accumulated weight that immediate reaction never achieves. Here's delayed response. Someone insults you publicly. Immediate reaction would be defensive anger, predictable and easily dismissed as emotional reaction. Delayed response. You remain calm in moment, process the insult, then days later when they're comfortable, you deliver devastating calm response that references the insult with precision they weren't expecting. The delay makes response more frightening because it shows you don't forget and you choose timing. When you react immediately with anger, the person who triggered you controls timing. They decided when the confrontation happens. When you delay deliberately, you control timing. You decide when to address it, in what context, with what audience. This control transforms anger from reaction into strategy. The delay also allows anger to transform from hot emotional reaction into cold strategic response. Hot anger is sloppy. You say things you regret, make mistakes, lose clarity. Cold anger after delay is precise. You know exactly what to say, how to say it, when maximum impact occurs. Practice delay. When angered, consciously note, I will address this, but I choose when. Let hours or days pass. Process what happened. Decide if response serves you. If yes, choose optimal timing and delivery. If no, let it go entirely. Either way, you control the anger rather than it controlling you. I want you to drop this affirmation. I delay anger deliberately. I control timing ruthlessly. 8. Cold fury versus hot rage mastery. The 8th principle is mastering distinction between cold fury and hot rage, understanding that hot rage is emotion controlling you, while cold fury is you controlling emotion. Cold fury is infinitely more dangerous because it's calculated, sustained, and strategic. Think about hot rage. Explosive, immediate, intense, but short-lived. It burns hot and fast, creates chaos, then dissipates, leaving regret. Now think about cold fury. Controlled, deliberate, sustained intensity that doesn't explode but persists with calculated purpose. Hot rage scares people momentarily. Cold fury terrifies them continuously. Here's the distinction. Hot rage. Someone betrays you. You explode immediately with shouting, accusation, emotional chaos. It's intense, but passes quickly and achieves little beyond emotional release. Cold fury. Someone betrays you. You remain outwardly calm while internally committing to systematic response over time. Every interaction afterward carries weight of sustained, controlled anger they can feel but can't fight because you never lose composure. When you deploy hot rage, you exhaust yourself emotionally and give target time to recover once explosion passes. When you deploy cold fury, you maintain energy, while target lives in sustained discomfort of your controlled displeasure that never explodes but never disappears. The practice is transforming hot impulses into cold strategy. Feel the anger fully internally. Choose to express it as sustained cool displeasure rather than explosive heat. Your tone stays measured. Your actions stay calculated. But the anger is present, visible, and more frightening because it's controlled indefinitely. Machiavelli observed that rulers who deployed cold, calculated responses to betrayal were more feared than those with explosive tempers. The explosion is finite. The cold, sustained displeasure is indefinite. People prefer dealing with hot rage because it passes. Cold fury doesn't pass. It persists with precision. I want you to drop this affirmation. I master cold fury. Hot rage I refuse. You are no longer someone whose anger controls them. You're not someone who suppresses anger until it explodes destructively. You're not someone whose emotional reactions can be triggered by anyone who wants to manipulate you. You're not someone who displays ego anger over wounded pride. You're not someone whose rage is hot, chaotic, and quickly forgotten. You are someone who controls anger ruthlessly, who manufactures anger as negotiation tactic when strategically useful, who remains emotionally detached when others attempt provocation, who deploys strategic rage to establish boundaries so ruthless they're never tested again, who maintains calm center when everyone else is emotionally chaotic, who reads anger in others as map to their vulnerabilities, who distinguishes righteous anger from ego anger and deploys only what serves principle, who delays anger, response to control timing and maximize impact, who masters cold fury that terrifies more than hot rage ever could. Your anger serves your strategy. It never hijacks your judgment. It never makes you lose control. It never reveals vulnerabilities to those watching. You are dangerously calm, someone whose emotional sovereignty makes you untouchable, because your anger is weapon you choose to deploy, never weakness others exploit. Seneca taught that anger is temporary madness. Unless you control it, it controls you. Marcus Aurelius taught that you have power over your mind, not external events. Machiavelli demonstrated that rulers who mastered emotional display dominated those controlled by emotions. You now possess this integration: Stoic emotional sovereignty, Machiavellian strategic deployment, and dark psychology understanding of anger as social weapon. The world belongs to those who control emotions, while others are controlled by them. Your anger is now tool, not master. Your calm is now weapon, not weakness. Your emotional control is now dominance, not suppression. Drop this affirmation in the comments right now. I control my anger. My rage serves my strategy. I am ruthlessly calm, dangerously controlled. Subscribe to this channel because we're teaching emotional warfare that philosophy is only theorized about. Like this video if you're ready to stop being controlled by anger and start weaponizing it strategically. Share it with someone who needs to understand that emotional control is the ultimate power. You were controlled by anger. Today you became dangerously calm. The transformation is complete.